Welcome back, Tribe. I have an episode here from CNA Insider. A lot of you have been requesting this one. Why these American men are seeking love in Asia, the rise of passport bros. We got featured in it for a few seconds. They emailed us to be a part of the documentary, but it seemed like it was going to be a hit piece, so didn't want to give them the ammunition. Let's see.
Meet Austin, Alex, and Paul. They're all from America, and they've all been hit by Cupid's arrow in Asia.
Am I seeking love? Yes. Yes, I think that's fair to say.
They're part of a growing group of young, Western men who travel abroad to look for romance. A movement that calls themselves the Passport Bros.
I think it's refreshing when men come here, they find a really feminine, nurturing woman that trusts them.
While some see no harm in these men roaming for romance.
ถ้าทุกคนสามารถมีตัวเลือกที่เหมาะสมนะครับยิ่งเยอะก็ยิ่งเป็นสิทธิ์ของเขา
Others find their motivations distasteful.
It kind of fulfills like their expectations that, brown people should be servicing white people.
They just want quick hookups.
What's driving this trend? And how does Asia really feel about passport bros?
My name is Paulie. I'm a Korean American and I moved to Thailand 4 years ago. I'm a full-time content creator and a digital nomad.
Paul is 28, from New York. Now he calls Bangkok, Thailand, home. He's one of many young Western men who identify themselves as passport bros.
A passport bro is a recent term that's been very popularized recently. It's basically where a man traditionally from the West moves and migrates to another country like in Latin America or in Southeast Asia to pursue women they see as more feminine, right? And the whole goal of this is to find a long-term relationship and to build a family.
The biggest topics on the internet.
I first saw it on social media a couple of years ago and it was just blowing up all over my feed.
A single guy.
They're leaving in droves for other countries.
I want it. Oh, when they closing cars.
These videos are some of the tens of thousands with the hashtag Passport Bros on TikTok.
Every drink is a ritual. The atmosphere is pristine.
The term passport bro is believed to have originated in 2004 to describe Brazilian sex tourism. It then mostly fell out of popular use. But then, in late 2022, it was revived and exploded in popularity, according
TikTok.
to Google Trends. The term trended on TikTok and Instagram.
I'll be meeting him probably in Thailand, by the way. I'm headed out there for 2 months with my girl. Can't wait. See what it's all about. But this is already getting hit piecey vibes for me.
As borders reopened and international travel resumed post-COVID-19. By November 2023, the hashtag Passport Bros.
You know what's funny? If women were doing this in the West, going overseas in droves and finding love, they would be carried all over social media, all in the popular talk shows. It would be pushed, the narrative, it would be mainstream and supported. But since men are doing it, there's got to be a dark underbelly to everything. The shaming language. Ridiculous.
Had gained more than 470 million views on TikTok. So what is driving this surging trend?
Happy.
Well, the popularity of Passport Bros coincides with the decline of romantic relationships in some Western countries, particularly in the United States.
Right now in America, I'm seriously concerned that there is a big shift happening. And there are a lot of factors that feed into it. So we have less marriages happening.
Arlene has
Is she going to say why, though? Is she going to talk about the laws? Probably not.
more than a decade of experience as a dating and relationship coach.
What a joke.
Now she travels around the world to teach matchmakers the art of connecting people. A 2022 Pew study showed that 63% of American men under the age of 30 described themselves as single, compared to 34% of women.
The matchmakers that I work with are finding a big difference in expectations from what women want and what men want. In the past, I would say women in particular would get married for financial security. They no longer need that. Now they want to get married for love. They want to find a partner who's compatible, who has similar core values and lifestyle goals. And
Which are what? Being masculine, being greedy, being selfish, having double standards. What goals? What values? They're out there getting passed around the streets, getting drunk at nightclubs, making fools of themselves on social media, on TikTok, crying in camera, talking about their sex escapades. What are they talking about?
and a partner who's going to confer and not just go off and make decisions on his own. Young men don't know what they're supposed to do to connect with women. Women don't know a lot of the things of what they should be looking for in a man. There's no blaming.
You see, so it's what women should be looking for in a man and what men should be doing. Notice how it's a man's fault. You got to get better. You got to improve, bro. And all a woman has to do is just look for the right man. Okay. No self-improvement, no self-work, no dealing with your trauma, your baggage, all your childhood bullshit, none of that.
Women, there's no blaming men. It's just that it's an uncomfortable time where things are changing.
One change is reflected in how the genders view society. Young women in the US have become increasingly liberal, while men trended slightly more conservative. This divide is especially stark after 2017.
These are the characters, the value, the morals that they're talking about. Here they are. Here they are, right here. Look. And you wonder why men don't identify with this or want to do anything with these kinds of women.
This period coincided with the Me Too movement, a social campaign to raise awareness of sexual assault and harassment against women.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Just look. Just look. Just take a look. And you tell me why guys would prefer to go overseas where they could find fit women, friendly, feminine. Look, just look.
Me Too went viral following the allegations of abuse by Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. The gender divide was widening and bled into romance.
They're becoming very antagonized towards each other, especially on social media. Like they'll say that all women are bad or all women are going downhill. There's no good women in America. They'll say these general statements like this. And I think those kind of narratives can just further divide people.
Men and women have very differently evolved psychologies. Our female ancestors had to make sure that we were with partners that would care for our offspring. And so in a modern environment where suddenly we don't need men anymore to provide resources. So many women might realize that actually, wait a second, I don't need a man. And male psychology, on the other hand, is very much inclined to pursue a lot of sexual and mating opportunities.
A study in 2020 found more Americans have become sexless, especially young men. About 1 in 3 men aged 18 to 24 said that they had no sexual activity in the past year. A significant jump from 2000. But this wasn't the case for women.
I bet you that number is now at 40% or higher for 2024. And I bet you by 2030, it'll be close to the halfway point. It has to be. I think a passport's going to be a man's only genuine option unless he tries to go out in the boonies and find somebody that's like humble, conservative, farm girl lifestyle, touches grass, had a father present, all that stuff. Because these numbers are only getting worse. And post-COVID, these numbers had to shoot up dramatically because the world's changed after the lockdowns. Nothing's ever been the same. Everything has been radicalized. You could see it in our politics. You could see it in the social culture alone.
So you could see how in a modern environment, when a male psychology cannot really pursue these opportunities anymore, that they might turn to other strategies to obtain sexual or romantic access.
To find romance, some men are trying their luck overseas. These are the passport bros.
Like a what?
Many of them are young digital nomads, professionals who leverage internet connectivity and remote working tools, allowing them to travel and work from virtually anywhere.
I like how they got those little creeper cameras just filming people in public and blurring them all out just because it's some dude that has a girl on his arm. Okay.
At their core is a belief in traditional gender roles, which they think are disappearing from Western society.
Look at the blur out.
Passport bro is someone who wants to basically find a traditional wife I think in the West, a lot of women don't want to be like traditional, don't want to take on these like traditional gender norms. And they want to essentially put on the shoes of like the traditional man, I guess. And I'm not saying that's bad, you know, every single relationship is different. Every person's different, but I think it's refreshing when men come here, they find a really feminine, nurturing woman that trusts them and that they can kind of go in the same direction with and kind of have the same traditional values and traditional roles, such as women cooking and cleaning, whereas these things would be seen as kind of controversial in the States.
This is the website of a self-described official Passport Bros company, launched in the United States in 2023. It's run by Prometheus Worley and his son, Clifford. They provide information for aspiring Passport Bros. Tips include how to date in different cultures, how to find
I mean, this is just people grifting and trying to come up on the movement and make a business out of it. Of course, here's probably where the hit piece begins with like some shady dealers of some online service setting up some sexploitation, some shit like that. We'll see. I haven't seen this at all.
accommodation and flights, or rent a private jet.
Right now, we're just an informational service. That's right. We're standing at 500,000 men, subscribers, and we're not charging. There's such a disconnect between men and women that men have to literally be on their guard just to interact with a woman. So men are opting to leave. You go where you're appreciated versus staying here where you're just tolerated.
Prometheus first heard about Passport Bros 2 years ago. To his surprise, the criteria seemed to describe his life long before the movement even had a name. It began when he got divorced from his wife after 12 years of marriage. He was 35.
My spouse had cheated on me, and it shattered my ego. It broke me into 1,000 pieces. I ended up going to Southeast Asia in 2013. There's a whole different culture and mindset that a lot of the women have there. The environment is completely different. Fast forward, my son, who's my business partner, noticed that there were guys traveling, making videos. And he's the one that brought it up to me. He was like, God, Dad, you know, there's these guys that they're doing what you've been doing. They're traveling. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, they're Passport Bros. I'm like, huh, what? We're just coming off of the heels of COVID, the travel bug, and they want to get out. And, you know, and why not be that light post, if you will, that guiding light to try to help men where we can in this particular area.
On their website, the Worleys give suggestions of which countries are best suited for Passport Bros. Among their top 6 recommendations, 4 Asian countries make the list: Cambodia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand.
If you're a guy looking for a woman that has traditional values, family values, you're going to find it in these areas.
I never made the decision, I'm going to be a Passport Bro. It's like I was dealing with some problems in America. I wanted to leave. But every course and YouTuber out there seems I just felt like I was on this hamster wheel that would never end. When I moved to Thailand, I'm able to relax more.
The financial aspect is the thing that I keep telling you guys the most about. It's a financial freedom you need to chase first. The women come last. If you go out there for women first, you're going to end up broke, like so many other dudes that end up going out there. Handle your finances first. Get some income from either rentals or dividends, or you're on your pension because you're older, dude. Something. You need to have some money coming in. Then you go. There's guys that have absolutely no income, and I get them all the time. The messages, how do you make money overseas? What do I do? How are the local jobs? The local jobs are shit. They pay like shit. That's why they're local jobs. You don't go out there to go get local work. You go out there to make the power of the dollar and your Western salary stretch 5 times further than it would where you currently live. That's the whole point of this, is to retire early, to be relaxing like this dude by the pool at a younger age. There are so many men that are working themselves to the bone that have the opportunity to do this right now. You probably own a house. You could rent it out. You might have 2 properties if you're older. You could rent it out. You may have a significant stock portfolio, some of which is paying you dividends. You should be out here right now. There's no point in working for very little return in the West when you could have it all essentially on the same salary you currently have. You just need to make it consistent. Some guys have remote work. They're very active currently and living there, digital nomad style. The other half of them are already retired on their 401ks or their pensions or their investment funds. But that's the key. And then you'll have your women and your family and the leisure time and able to live life finally. You don't have to be fucking 67, barely retired, and 5 years away from death to finally enjoy it all.
When he first arrived in Thailand, Paul was single. Though he wasn't looking for a serious relationship, he noticed he was getting a lot more attention on dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
I think in America, a lot of women want someone who's 6 feet tall, makes six figures. Here in Thailand, I think it's more chill. Like, it's more personal. It's more traditional.
Eventually, he met his Thai girlfriend through a dating app, and they've been together for more than 2 years now.
I was like, man, this is the best woman I've ever met. She's always trusts me. She's like, you can do this. I believe in you. And sometimes that's just all you need. I never had the intention of being a passport bro, but I guess I am because I have a relationship now.
Super exploitative, right? Look at that. He's taking advantage of that poor brown girl, just like that moron in the beginning said. Serving white people. Oops, he's not white. Now what are you going to say?
But with the emphasis on traditional gender roles, critics say the passport bro movement is steeped in misogyny and anti-feminism.
Here comes the
How
wokies.
do the women of Southeast Asia feel about the phenomenon? In southern Philippines, a stone's throw from white sandy beaches, the city of Dumaguete saw more expat arrivals after the pandemic. A few months ago, it became the new home for Alex Connolly. He moved from the San Francisco Bay Area in California, a full-time
Bro, we got to fix that gate. This is horrendous. Like, they put this guy in here and make everybody look bad. What the fuck stance is that, bro? Please, in a gut, too. You got to... And moves. Guys, if you go overseas, I'm sure this guy's doing fine. Who gives a fuck? But don't look like this. Work on your body. Eat clean. Get sleep. Get your test levels up. Look at this, man. You can do so much. If you go overseas and you've taken care of yourself, you can do so good for yourself. It will pay off. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Don't go there with like a crooked fucking spine like this dude, walking all weird and shit.
Content creator. He's also looking for a relationship he couldn't find in the United States.
Do I consider myself a passport bro? Yes, with some level of reluctance because I know that there's a stigma associated with that term. But dating did come up for me as a strong reason to spend more time in Southeast Asia. For me, it's not about the short time. It's not about the short hookup. There's tons of successful women in the West. And so they're just not getting as much benefit of dating the regular Joe that perhaps a woman in Southeast Asia, she may think, well, he's a basic guy, but you know what? He's an honest man. A lot of the Asian women in these countries are more open to traditional gender roles.
What Alex describes is perhaps found in the home of Leah Buckingham, also a resident of Dumaguete. Leah is a stay-at-home mother of 2. She lives with her American husband, Gary.
Do you think she feels that she's being taken advantage of? I mean, he's providing. Isn't that what they want? A man with funds to take care of them, be a stay-at-home mother, all that stuff, don't have to worry about money. Look.
Everyone deserves to be happy and feel love, I don't think you should be in a place or in an environment where you don't feel belong and appreciated. So I think for them doing the movement to go abroad and find real women, I think they're doing the right thing.
Real women. You heard that?
Gary and Leah have been together for about 6 years after meeting on a dating site.
One of the reasons why passport bros, prefer to date us because they want to find a real woman that would respect them, that would let them to be the man that they should be, like to be the leader. And most of us Filipina, we respect that. We're very family oriented and also we're more feminine and more traditional, I would say.
Oh.
The Philippines is another popular...
She said it, not me. You heard it there first.
The destination in Southeast Asia for passport bros.
Here's why you should leave America and go straight to Philippines. First off, is rent $300 a month is plenty.
This is Austin Abeta, 33 years old, from Colorado. A data analyst by trade, but on social media, he's built a following as a passport bro influencer. Right now, he's living in Manila with his Filipino girlfriend, Jewel.
I do identify as a passport bro, but if the movement were to change into something else, I'm not married to it. Dating is always two adults consenting to be in a relationship together. It's never perfect. It's going to get messy. But I think for me, I 100% think every guy should experience it. Every woman should experience it.
Yes, sir.
Having dating into different cultures.
Austin has more than 700,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram. His content has accrued tens of millions of views, plenty of love, and a lot of hate.
Here's what I learned being a passport bro. Being a single American guy in South America, I sometimes post stuff like that, but this, and my comments get crazy. People get mad.
Passport bros like Austin have come under fire for their romantic escapades abroad. The emphasis on traditional gender roles leads detractors to say the movement is anti-feminist, as it implies women should occupy a subservient role to men.
We still tend to equate women with, nursing and homemaking.
Wasn't the feminist movement, though, all about choice? So if she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, if she wants to do those traditional gender roles, that's her right that you fought for or your predecessors did. Why are they so pressed when women decide to do the traditional things and don't want to slave away at a fucking job in a cubicle to make pennies on the dollar? To get yelled at by a dude who's also incompetent at his job. And then hate that you have to go into this every morning at 8, 9 a.m. Okay.
And all of these attributes, whereas men are the providers, are the ones who provide protection and resources in modern Western culture, right? A lot of women would probably be not happy about the prospect of going back to the norms that they seem so fond of.
It's harmful, this passport bro movement that hold these beliefs, that women should be meek, subservient, it should tend to their needs. This passport bro movement puts kind of a race.
Young feminist collective. Here you go, dude. Here's your wokie. Be prepared for all the terms coming out left and right.
This and colonial dimension to this because it kind of fulfills their expectations that, brown people should be servicing white people and brown countries should be at the service of white Western countries.
Uh-huh.
Yet, gender roles are complex. It's simplistic to assume Asian women are unequal to men. For example, the Philippines ranks 25th out of 146 countries in gender equality, scoring better than Canada at 36 and almost 20 places above the United States at 43.
Shocker.
Thailand ranks 65.
We Filipina, we know how to cover our role as a wife, and we let our men to lead us in our household. But some Western women, they think that's too old-fashioned. Women should pursue their career and all that. They even said that we are just playing the role because we want to get out the poverty, But the fact is, we are raised like this. That's our tradition. That's our culture,
ความเป็นชาวเอเชียอย่างชาวหญิงไทยมันถูกขัดเกลามันถูกหล่อหลอมมาโดยจะรู้ตัวหรือไม่รู้ตัวก็ตามว่าการเทคแคร์การดูแลเอาใจใส่คนรักมันเกิดขึ้นพร้อมกับความรักหรือความผูกพันหรือว่าการชื่นชอบ
Another criticism of passport bros says the men resort to finding love overseas because they're not good enough for the women back home.
These guys sort of give up on themselves in terms of what success they're going to have here in America. And they are like, okay.
No one's giving up on themselves. They see the reality of the situation. You go on a date, she's going to fucking try to film you because you took her to a franchise place like True Food Kitchen or whatever the hell that was where that dude got yelled at, or all the other stupid videos where women are trying to dog the guys that are taking them out to get brownie points on the internet. Then you got to deal with the court systems, even if you do make it that far, which you lose everything with court biases down to your 401k and all your investments, everything. Your retirement is even liable to be taken from you. That's how insane that is. And then they have permanent alimony in a bunch of states. Only some have repealed that. So imagine you got to pay this person for life and they're out there dating, getting their guts rearranged and with somebody else, but you're still paying for everything. Then they can take your kids away, just say you touched them or something like that, and the court system will not be lenient on you at all. So it's like, okay, marriage, no, go. in the West. Okay, what's next? Dating's gotten really toxic. Why? Because the masculine nature, the toxic masculinity, the patriarchy, and men are predators, and what are men good for? So it's gotten very adversarial. So women think they're better than the men, but they can't do anything feminine themselves like their grandmothers used to. They can't cook, they can't clean. They're super loud, obnoxious, annoying, and fight you on everything. So guys are looking at all this in a holistic manner, not giving up on themselves, but going, dude, it ain't worth the squeeze. Sorry. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. That's what they're all thinking. You know what? A passport would be better. I am going to just take time off from dating, and I'm just going to go do it overseas when I get some funds.
I'm not even going to put the effort in. It's almost like they think they're going to take a magic pill and everything's going to change by going to a different country and meeting a woman there.
Just as the Passport Bro movement grew through social media, there's now a counter-movement disparaging the men who choose this lifestyle.
When you pay attention to the Passport Bros, like they're
Yeah, look, okay, already started loud. Already ridiculous, bro.
getting women from like the DR, Colombia, the Philippines, Thailand, like women that can speak very little English, women that don't have education, women that need them.
But here is where these critics are getting pushback. Some from women in Southeast Asia themselves.
Filipinas are depicted as desperate, submissive, and at a man's beck and call. Do you have any clue how insulting that is?
By suggesting that Asian women are easier targets for Western men.
Yeah, saying they're poor, dumb, uneducated, can't speak English, desperate for money. What happened to the sisterhood? Imagine saying that about a woman. You see how the claws come out, the reality comes out when competition's there?
There is an undertone of racism. The implication being that Asian women are less than compared to Western women.
A woman commented, if you worked harder, you could get a first world queen. And it's just like, holy, the same sort of stereotypical nature to say like all Filipino women are X is to say all American men dating in the Philippines are X.
I grew up here in the Philippines. In this region, like we have more women living in poverty than men, more women working in the informal sector, and more women carrying the burden of care work or like work at home. And often, you know, like they don't have a choice in terms of like these expectations of them, but also understand that, you know, women also still have agency, and women are or should be able to make decisions based on what they think is best, based on kind of their personal situations.
Okay, the conversation should end there because they're choosing these men. They want to be taken care of. They want to skip all the school, the hard work, the shitty job, the low pay, and go straight to being a stay-at-home mom with a man who has more than enough money to provide for her and her kids. Done. Shortcut achieved. Lifestyle granted. Happiness abundant. And they can't stand that they make that choice. No, sis, they don't all want to go to school like you and spout out feminist rhetoric and be fucking unhappy with their lives.
I think it's so important for us not to see women as victims.
Pam has dated a few passport bros in Bangkok. She's looking for a committed relationship and prefers dating foreigners to local men.
The kind of chemistry is different when I talk to foreigners. When I was living abroad, I just felt like, talking to like people in different countries, like I felt more like openness.
Overseas educated and a professional in public relations, Pam...
Wow, she doesn't sound dumb, poor, or stupid. How crazy is that?
Pam holds dual degrees in arts and media. She does not fit the stereotype of the uneducated, docile figure that critics paint.
I think I am quite independent as well compared to other Asian girls, but I don't think I'm super different from regular Thai ladies. Asian women these days, we also portray sophisticated and independent. We become more self-reliant, and I think we won't look for the guys that we meet on dating apps and we know that, he just wants a casual date, casual fun. It depends, like we can choose as well.
The passport bro movement has been demonized by some people, praised by others, and sometimes there is basis. But as you know, nothing is black or white completely.
Of course.
When a man
This is what people need to understand about this. There will always be the nefarious actors that attach themselves to this, quote, movement and any movement in the future. And the same was with the red pill and anything else you could pick. Once something gets popular enough, mainstream enough, there will be nefarious actors that will do things under that umbrella. And then it makes the rest of the group bad. That's how you soil the entire image, the movement, the idea. But they're not representative of the average person that's doing this. The average person that's doing this is legitimately going overseas to change their life financially and romantically. And it's going well. They have genuine intentions and it's working, which is why it's blowing up, because so many men are finding success. From the guys that get called dusties, from chads that are just tired of the pump and dump scheme in the West. Like, it's for all ranges of men. And they're finding the traditional values that they're looking for. But occasionally, you will have the grifters, the turds, and the dark underbelly of some of these actors that present themselves as part of this movement that are there for like sexploitation. It is true. There are those nasty turds, but it's up to the people within the group, within the movement or the ideology, whatever it is that you want to call this thing or any other thing that spawns in the future. If they don't push back against that, if they don't call these people out and ostracize them, if they don't completely excise them from this idea, then the majority of the mainstream will paint you as one and the same. You will be guilty by association. This is why this self-policing thing is super important, especially in a movement like this that it hangs in the balance for men in the future. Because the moment you get those nefarious actors and they soil the entire thing, men are going to be shamed yet again into going overseas and changing their lives. They'll be looked at as creeps by default. You guys have to push back. Seriously, those of you that consider yourself passport bros or are within the passport bro forums or all that, you need to viciously stamp out those nefarious actors because they will ruin this entire thing for you. I'm telling you, man. Same thing like when the red pill grifters came along and were saying extreme radical shit, and then the red pill became a joke. It's like nothing but toads left in that movement and people that make fun of them and they say extreme shit just to get any views that are left and have alienated most of mainstream. That's what happened.
Comes to a country where, passport bros go to, and he makes the women think he's looking for love, he's looking for marriage, when what he really wants is to have a good time, then that is exploitative for sure. But in the end, we don't know what's going on in their hearts and minds.
I wouldn't say that all passport bros come here for real love or for genuine love. I'm sure there are some that come here for bad intention. Those are really the type of foreigner that Filipina should avoid because they don't deserve the traditional Filipina.
But even some passport bros admit there is a dark side to their movement, especially in Southeast Asia, a region with a long history of sex tourism. There's something romantic about falling in love with a foreigner. Two people brought together by destiny, despite distance and cultural differences. At least, that was the dream of Joanna Ancla, a single mother of 3 in the Philippines. Joanna is looking for an AFAM. AFAM is an acronym for a foreigner around Manila, slang for a typically Western male. To many Filipinas, dating or marrying an AFAM is not an idea so foreign.
Foreigner, even they walk wearing a slipper in an ordinary church, something like they attract, some ladies, their looks. I'm looking a foreigner. I'm looking that he is my best friend and love that can spend together, the last of our life.
Last year, Joanna met a Finnish man on a dating site. They'd been talking for nearly 2 months when he asked her to join him on a trip to Boracay, a resort island in central Philippines.
We spent Christmas and New Year in Boracay. I feel it that he...
Living it, trying to tell you guys, living it. They don't want to listen though. Oh well, told you guys, get your passport, go overseas.
It's really... He loved me also, and his intention is, to get to know more me and going to serious more or maybe married someday.
That future crumbled after his...
She looks really good for her age too. That's wild. You won't see American women be this fit at their age.
His vacation had ended.
Especially after 3 kids.
He returned to Finland, and she found out that he'd been in a relationship with another woman there. This love story gone awry points to a darker side of the Passport Bro movement. Many of their preferred destination countries, like the Philippines and Thailand, have a long history of sex tourism and exploitation.
Poorer countries have been sexually exploited for so many years, not just now.
True.
Ours, Spanish, the Friars, etc. The Filipinos have been sexually exploited. This idea about sexual exploitation is not limited to Passport Bros. But of course, in any movement, you always find the ones that take advantage.
I think those are very fair criticisms, and men do that. Passport Bros, there's a lot of guys coming over who they just want quick hookups. They just want to get laid as much as possible, and they'll lie to women to do it. They'll lie and say, oh, we're in love, we should get married and lead these girls on. And I think it's horrible. It does happen. But I do not think the vast majority I've met have not been that way.
This whole phenomenon of Western men coming to Southeast Asian, like the Philippines, looking for wives, it's not a new phenomenon. Before the Passport Bro, you had the femme, you had the dirty old man, you had the
military
mail
bros.
order bride orders, you had the sexpat. But we have to recognize women's agency. And if they're consenting into certain relationships or even transactions, then we have to respect that.
She hates that.
Pattaya, Patpong. These locales in Thailand have become synonymous with the sex industry. There are an estimated 300,000 sex workers in Thailand. Here, an average sex worker enters the industry at the age of 19. Each year, Thailand welcomes between 800,000 and 2 million sex tourists. Sex tourism brings in, by some estimates, over $6 billion for the country. And much of the industry is driven by poverty.
สงครามเย็นเนี่ยแหละที่ทำให้เซ็กทัวริซึมค่อนข้างเฟื่องฟูนะครับยกตัวอย่างเช่นพัดพงพัทยาสิ่งเหล่านี้เนี่ยเติบโตขึ้นมาจากบรรดาทหารอเมริกันเริ่มเข้ามาขณะเดียวกันมันมีอีกอาชีพหนึ่งที่เรียกว่าเมียเช่าคือพัฒนาการของการขายบริการทางเพศอะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะครับก็มันก็เกิดขึ้นมาเหมือนแบบฉันจะเป็นแฟนกับเธอฉันจะเป็นคู่รักเป็นเมียเธอแล้วเธอก็ให้เงินฉันจะดูแลเธอประหนึ่งเมียที่ดีเลยเมียแบบในอุดมคติชายเป็นใหญ่เลย
Yeah, they're renting chicks on a monthly basis, getting the girlfriend experience. Yeah, it's insane.
มันเกิดความไม่มั่นคงทางเศรษฐกิจตอนนั้นเมื่อทหารอเมริกันกลับไปเขาเกิดภาวะยากจนทันทีมีประเทศที่มีพลเมืองบางประเทศนี่ที่ค่อนข้างที่จะถูกมองว่ารวยกว่าไม่รวยกว่าแต่มาจากประเทศโลกที่1หรือประเทศที่พัฒนาแล้วเนี่ยมันจึงทำให้ในไทยในฟิลิปปินส์บ้างเนี่ยรู้สึกว่ามันพึ่งพาได้มันสามารถทำให้รวยได้มันเข้ากันได้ดีการเคลื่อนไหวหรือปรากฏการณ์นี้ครับ
There are concerns that under the veneer of social media likes and hashtags, the Passport Bro is just the new name for a sex tourist.
การเป็นเมียเช่ากับPassport Bros เนี่ยนะครับก็มันคล้ายๆถึงการที่สยบยอมหรือยอมรับสถานะทางเพศของตนเองที่เป็นผู้หญิงแล้วก็สถานะของเป็นพลเมืองประเทศที่กำลังพัฒนาประเทศโลกที่3อยู่อย่างไทยกับผู้ชายที่จะเข้ามาที่เป็นผู้ชายนะครับในโลกชายเป็นใหญ่และมาจากประเทศโลกที่1ประเทศที่พัฒนาแล้วมันมีสถานะที่มันเหลื่อมล้ำตรงนี้อยู่
While Austin says he doesn't belong to that side of the Passport Bro spectrum, it has nonetheless affected him. By dating Austin, his girlfriend Jewel feels unfairly tarred by these stereotypes.
Jewel doesn't want to go live in America, and it's because women comment on our posts that she's a prostitute. They comment that she's trying to escape poverty. That's the only reason she's with me. And you talk to her. She's educated. She speaks English great. And if she was white, this wouldn't happen.
And here is another side to the Passport Bro phenomenon. The idea of women's agency.
Yep.
Having dated some of them in Bangkok, Pam thinks it's women who control the game.
Yeah, so for me, I don't think passport bro is intimidating or dominating a movement at all. But as Asian women, we can protect ourselves from like being mistreated by them, or somehow we have like equal right to choose the proper relationship for us. I think it just depends on the two people in the relationship.
Where are you going to see women like that in America? They're probably wearing their hoodies. They're wearing their Lululemons. They're all disheveled. Hair's not done. You know the look, man. That nasty ass, like I just got out of bed or I couldn't put myself together look. This is average there. Look. You can't see it on this right side. Look, there you go. I made it smaller. Look, this is just one single freeze frame. Dresses. Do you see? That's what it looks like everywhere. It's a shocker for Americans.
It's like they are on the same page if they share the common goal.
ถ้าทุกคนสามารถมีตัวเลือกที่เหมาะสมนะครับยิ่งเยอะก็ยิ่งเป็นสิทธิ์ของเขาเพราะฉะนั้นการที่เขาจะใช้สิทธิ์เหล่านี้ในการที่จะมาหาคนที่ใช่จริงๆผมมองว่าเป็นเรื่องที่ดีนะครับไม่ใช่เรื่องที่แย่เลยแม้ว่าในมุมมองในอดีตเราจะมองว่าแบบการที่ต่างชาติจะมาหาแฟนคนไทยจะต้องเป็นคนระดับเวิร์กเกอร์บ้างคือผมมองว่ามันเป็นสิทธิ์ของเขาที่เขาต้องการในสิ่งที่เขาขาดผู้หญิงไทยหลายคนรอบตัวผมนะครับโดยเฉพาะเพื่อนผมเนี่ยเขาไม่ได้สนใจผู้ชายไทยด้วยซ้ำส่วนใหญ่จะสนใจต่างชาติมากกว่าไม่ว่าจะเป็นทางยุโรปนะครับทางอเมริกาหรือว่าแม้กระทั่งหนุ่มจีนหนุ่มไต้หวันเดี๋ยวนี้ก็เป็นที่สนใจของเพื่อนผมเหมือนกันสาเหตุหลักเขามองว่าเขาไม่ได้ขาดเหมือนกับเขาไม่ได้แบบขาดดุลอะไรกับการที่เขาได้ลองเรียนรู้วัฒนธรรมอื่นๆครับ
Adaptable.
Despite her relationship scars, Joanna still holds out hope of meeting her foreign Prince Charming. Since her relationship with her Finnish paramour ended, Joanna has been open to dating other men. None have worked out so far.
My advice is you need to be more careful getting to know that guy. Don't give your trust all. That's the best thing all girls to do. It's a big learn to me. Love yourself first and know your worth. So my past relationship on my Finland boyfriend, it's not really break my heart. Maybe a small part. But I told you, I'm not a cheap Filipino. I'm not easy to get.
The Passport Bro movement, having spawned on the internet, might eventually go the way online trends go and fade from relevance. But beneath it, there's a more worrying shift developing, a global pushback against feminism. Prometheus said he was a feminist for many years. The movement, in its early days, resonated with his belief in equality, but somewhere along the line, it became toxic to him.
My views of it started to change when I started to see feminism promotes double standards. Women can have their expectation. They can say, I want a guy with a six-pack. I want a guy with six figures. I want a guy who drives a Maserati, who has a big home. If a man says, I prefer a woman that's sort of on the fit side, a little slender, he's a sexist. How dare he say that he wants her to be thin?
Prometheus is far from alone in this view. There is a global pushback against feminism. It coincides with the surge of men's rights activism and hyper-masculine movements, broadly known as the manosphere.
Uh-oh.
The manosphere is a network of online communities with a belief that men's rights have been neglected, usually laying the blame on feminism.
Uh-oh. We're implicated.
One of the most notorious figures of the movement is Andrew Tate, who became famous for anti-feminist rhetoric. Andrew Tate and his brother have been charged with sexual assault and human trafficking in Romania. Within the manosphere exist groups like MGTOW, or Men Going Their Own Way, men who want nothing to do with women. Then there is the Red Pill, those who believe society privileges women and suppresses men. The name is from The Matrix, a 1999 science fiction film where a red pill reveals the truth about the world. Another faction are incels, short
Oh,
for
shit.
involuntary
There's
celibate.
factions.
These are men who can't find sexual partners and air their often hateful and aggressive frustrations online. The Passport Bro movement is also considered as part of the manosphere.
Okay.
There are differences and overlaps, but overall, these groups are linked by one core idea, a feeling that men are losing out.
Women exercise more autonomy, and therefore, in the context of relationships, men might feel like that takes from their power.
When you think about what privilege is, psychologically speaking, then basically it means that you have occupied a spot in a hierarchy that has long remained unchallenged. So suddenly you see that someone is approaching that hierarchy. I could see how that would maybe aggravate.
All these eggheads don't know that it's just biological. We don't want fat women. We want fit women. We don't want nagging wives. We want happy feminine wives. We want a woman that's young enough that can bear babies. We don't want an old chick whose eggs don't work anymore. This is all biologically underpinned. Men's preferences in their sexual partners are on youth, beauty, and their ability to bear babies. They can't accept that this is all there is. They think it's like, we're challenging men in the hierarchy of society. We have become more competitive in the job market. We now have more rights and rules, and we can be bosses too. No one gives a shit. No one cares about your degree. No one cares about your experience and all the shit you've done in the world. When it comes to building a family, a man is going to look for a woman that is best tailored to giving him children. Your accolades don't mean shit. Your salary doesn't mean shit. The eggheads don't understand that. We're climbing up the social hierarchy. We are challenging men for global domination. Shut up. Shut up. Get out of school, numbnuts. You're being indoctrinated and radicalized in ideas that aren't rooted in the real world. No man is intimidated by a woman. The fuck? We may be intimidated by beauty is because we hold beauty up on the pedestal, which is why art, music, everything in the past that we've ever created always upheld the feminine beauty until, feminism came around and destroyed that whole aspect. Stop objectifying me. Objectifies themselves with fans then, with their social media profiles where they're showing their tits and their ass for free. Don't objectify me. You do it to yourselves. That's the double standard. That's the hypocrisy here. That's why feminism is dying or radicalized to even have any more of a foothold in society to be relevant still, because it's just a smaller and smaller contingent of numbnuts, radicalized zealots screaming out into the ether to be, at least paid attention to, because first way, feminism already did its job. Women can get a job. Women can work, start a business, get credit cards, do all the things that they fought for to do. Vote, all that stuff. You're there. You got it. There's no rights that are missing. This last wave is just all man-hating bullshit, and nobody's on board with that. By the way, it's eating its own tail because they've taken in the rainbow community now, and then, now you got men in dresses going into women's spaces, taking over their sports, all that shit. So it's like, congratulations, sis. You overshot so much, you're losing the one thing you had, the female space, and what it means to even be a woman. That's why no one cares anymore.
Some people.
A 2022 global study found that 1 in 3 men believed feminism has done more harm than good, compared to 1 in 5 women. A similar proportion of men also believe traditional masculinity is under threat today, and almost a quarter of the men surveyed agree that feminism is to blame for men's loss of economic, political, or social power, compared to 15% of women.
I think feminism can become harmful when it tells a woman that you don't need a man, but not only do you not need a man, you don't want a man.
I think feminism is the ability for women to make their own choice and to have their own freedoms. And I'm all about that. I think there's a difference between that and extreme radical feminism. They think that men are dominating and oppressing women, whereas the average guy is just trying to make...
Now, if you want men on board, sorry, that's female supremacy that they're talking about. You got to be an egalitarian, right? A humanist. If you're in an egalitarian movement where it's equality for all, not for men, not for women, but for everybody, period. No matter what your standing is, color of your skin, age, all that stuff, whatever it is, right, that we're fighting for. Cool, I'd be on board with that. But as long as feminism exists, I will never be on board with it because it is not helping men. It is at the expense of men uplifting women. Nope. And you'll never get men on board with that shit either. unless it's one of those bug sandwich looking motherfuckers. So if you want an egalitarian movement where we're promoting everybody to do their best, where merit-based societies flourish, and if you got the skills, you get the job. If you did the hard work, you deserve the payout, then I'm all for that system. I'd fight for it. We'd be allies, hands locked, together, marching forward for our dream. But until that day happens, we will always be on the other side of the fence, because I know your movement has an underlying message that you are superior to me, that I am oppressing you, and that you should somehow, by stepping on me, get ahead. That is the underlying core message that you sometimes say out loud, but pretend you don't. So no, until that shit gets solved, where this will never be a point at which we can come to an agreement. It is what it is. And so many men have checked out of the system because of that and go overseas and voila, they live happy lives. And it's those same women with those kinds of beliefs that will then have the racial undertones, the tones of superiority against their other fellow women in other countries, calling them dumb, stupid, uneducated, can't speak English, desperate for money, all that shit. Okay. That is why the hypocrisy is just glaring.
You know, a living, just trying to support his wife, his family, just trying to do his duty. The average man is not a misogynist. The average man is not out to oppress.
Well, I think for me, feminism is kind of looking at how patriarchy, or the system of social relations that favors man over literally everyone else, harms women and harms those that it oppresses. And also to see how it interacts with other systems of oppression. And without looking at it in this kind of structural way, we might not understand how these issues are actually very gendered. And, you know, it affects, like, poverty affects women differently than men.
The gender divide played out at the ballot box in November. Political observers have linked the victory of President-elect Donald Trump to his campaign strategy that targeted disaffected young male voters. On Election Day, NBC News exit polling showed the majority of young women voted for Kamala Harris, while young men mostly went for Trump.
I would say that the majority of foreigners that I meet and interact with support Trump. They feel that he identifies with their beliefs, their values, much more so than Harris.
I don't know if one of the reasons the passport bro / movement towards traditional roles is also affected by or affects how the world seems to be voting for populist leaders now. You know, Bolsonaro in Brazil, Duterte in the Philippines, even Trump. But obviously, something isn't working. Right now, the most comfortable thing for many people to depend on, perhaps, is like a populist president or whatever, and is for very rigid traditional roles.
No, it's just we're rejecting the progressive ideals that they promised us a utopia would be ushered in under. Our streets are full of homeless people, full of crime, people being shot, criminals getting off scot-free. Bridges are collapsing, our roads look like shit, full of potholes. Every underpass and overpass is full of tents. It's not safe for our kids to go out anymore. Our parks are filled with like hypodermic needles and drug addicts and shit like that. We have mental health crisis. Cost of living has increased beyond reach of many people where they can't afford their homes anymore. They can't even dream of ever owning a home. Car payments have gone through the roof, rent through the roof. Americans and people in the West in general are being squeezed for their every last dollar that they barely have, while being asked to work more and more for jobs that are paying less and less because inflation has eaten away at your purchasing power. That's what we're voting against. Because liberals fucked everything up. Because leftist policies do not work. We've had them for the last, I don't know how many fucking years. And society is increasingly getting worse and worse. The slippery slope of like, we'll do it the liberal way. Yeah, liberal ideologies, liberal freedoms in the social aspect of society and culture, and yes, hypersexualization and porn addiction and video games and anime and Netflix and drug use and all this fucking shit rolled into one. Advertisements and degenerate TV shows and music lyrics and all this shit bombarding a young mind, corrupting it and making it hate itself, making it feel like it's less than, making it feel like it's inferior, hopping on social media and comparing itself to every other person there is living their fake, perfect lives. Half of them are advertisements inserted for selling a Coca-Cola or whatever the fuck bag or bullshit that they have there in the post without you even knowing. It's not even disclosed. You're the product you're being sold to by way of manipulating your feelings. That's what we're rejecting. We're rejecting more of the same. We want something different. That's the message. It doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or whoever the fuck else you put there that has a similar message. The people are going to want to pick that person. We are sick and tired of the fucking current system. Every statistic we have, from marriage to sex to love to intimacy to happiness to all that shit, is trending down. Why the fuck would we vote for more of the same? And unfortunately, because the brain rot has reached the masses, the NPC, the TikTok brains, there's so many of them that just believe headlines, that just consume, that a lot of them have voted for, say, Kamala, or vote for the side that literally makes their lives more difficult. That is the great divide. We want to get away from those people. We want to get away from those policies.
The tide is also turning in Southeast Asia. A report showed an increase in attitudes that reinforce traditional gender roles and undermine women's rights. For example, education and job prospects are seen as more important for males, while domestic violence against women is viewed more permissibly. Some worry that these societal movements will roll back the progress made by women in Asia.
มันก็มีความไม่เท่าเทียมด้วยตัวของมันอยู่แล้วอะครับเรื่องของความสัมพันธ์ภายใต้ร่มของชายเป็นใหญ่หญิงไทยหลายๆคนก็ยังคุ้นชินกับสถานภาพทางเศรษฐกิจสังคมที่ไม่เท่าเทียมคุ้นชินกับการที่จะต้องพึ่งพาเพศชายแม้ว่าการศึกษาผู้หญิงสูงกว่าแต่ยังมีความรู้สึกเรื่องของภาวะที่ยังต้องเป็นแม่และเมียอยู่ในขบวนการของ Passport Bro เนี่ยมันค่อนข้างเป็นประเทศที่เป็นมหาอำนาจเดินทางเข้ามาสู่ประเทศที่กำลังพัฒนาหาผู้หญิงที่จะมาบริการมาปรนนิบัติมาดูแลเหมือนแบบประหนึ่งว่าเป็นเมียในยุคเก่าอ่ะมันไม่ใช่เป็นคู่ที่มันเป็นคู่ชีวิตที่มันเท่าเทียมกันแต่แรกอยู่แล้วเนี่ยคือสารตั้งต้นมันเป็นเช่นนั้นเนี่ยมันก็เป็นสิ่งที่น่ากังวลอ่ะว่าคุณไม่ได้ยอมรับความเท่าเทียมระหว่างคู่สัมพันธ์ของคุณแต่คุณต้องการจะหาคนที่มันมีสถานะต่ำกว่า
The Passport Bros, however, disagree.
A feminist might suggest that I'm seeking a world where men hold dominion over women, that men are the boss, and I'm not seeking that at all. I admire women.
To think that just because men are coming over here, that they're all evil or that they all want to use their economic disparity to like take over women or whatever is wrong. So the ideal dynamic for a relationship for me is that we're both willing to do things that make the other person feel loved and secured and feel intimate.
Before he met his girlfriend, Austin was active on dating apps. So was Pam, who is now seeing a European man she matched in Sweden. The proliferation of dating apps has also been blamed for the mismatch in dating success between men and women. One study of Tinder found that women had a successful match for every 2 likes on the app, compared to 1 in every 40 for men.
It creates just more visibility of how women are kind of afforded to be more choosy. Now there's a lot of candidates, and you get to just kind of, go through.
And that makes her smile. Yes. Look, that one point makes her smile. That's great. But when she talks about the rigid patriarchal values and the conservative traditional norms that men are looking for, she was all frowns and like, we need to do better for women.
Your matches and see, and research shows that it takes men a longer time to accumulate a certain number of matches. And I think the visibility of this can create an additional layer of agreements.
A lot of these passport bros don't have great experiences in dating in the West. A lot of these average guys just feel like, man, I'm not catching the attention of the woman that I'm interested in. And they're seeing these guys who are living in Thailand or they're living in the Philippines, these passport bros videos, and they see that there are other countries in the world where the expectations are not so absurdly high due to curated social media that isn't reflective of reality.
Coming out of the pandemic, the Philippines saw a 20 to 30% bump in locals marrying foreigners, while this rose by 15% in Thailand.
Look at that.
While we can't attribute this solely to the passport bro movement, these marriages were overwhelmingly between a foreign man and a local woman, while foreign women marrying local men are scarce. Although the passport bro movement is mostly viewed disparagingly in the West, here in Asia, the sentiment is more nuanced.
I don't think it's necessarily wrong, for example, for like a white man to date like a Filipino woman or a Southeast Asian woman. But in Southeast Asia, there is this kind of expectation that women in our region are subservient and meek and caring and will tend to your needs.
Okay, what's wrong with that? You said nothing negative. Why does she have a negative twist on that? So a good wife. So a caring person with empathy, a nurturing personality. What the fuck is so wrong with that? Damn, man, these femmes are insane.
I don't feel like being dominated. Like, you know, we look at marriage like a team, like helping each other, and we're happy that works for us.
There you go.
There's room for everybody. You know, as long as there's no exploitation, as long as there are no lies, we all have different wants. And if what you need is a more traditional wife or husband, you know, why not?
As for the self-identified passport bros we've met, they seem happy with their choice.
Of course.
Men and women, we're very different. We think very differently. We have different motivations. We have different worries. We have different goals, priorities. So I think it's understanding our natural differences and then having some sort of harmonious synergy between masculine and feminine, between man and woman.
It's been the greatest decision I've made. And I do have my Filipino ID. I'm proud of it. I'm a certified Filipino alien right now.
Am I seeking love? Yes. Yes, I think that's fair to say. I want to make sure that I can provide children a life that I didn't have growing up. I know that my destiny is here. I know that when I hit that point financially where it makes sense, then I will be here permanently.
Well, there you go, dude. What an evil toad. That dating expert is really out of touch with reality. If women are not marrying for financial security anymore, but for love, why are they not marrying poor guys in masses? Anywho, this one was a long one. Thoughts on the episode below? Your experiences when you went overseas? Can't wait. I'm going to Thailand probably in like a week or so, I believe. And it's just going to be palm trees, coconuts, mushroom drinks, nice sandy beaches, cool people, super chill, nothing but smiles. They love life. Weather is perfect and nothing to complain about. I should post videos. I think I'm going to post a ton of videos of that with my girl. They can't say shit because I brought mine from the Balkans. I didn't go to Asia to find an Asian woman. I wonder what the hate from that will be. Anyways, sign up to the second channel, guys, if you haven't. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Those in the private community, thank you. Calls are awesome, as usual. Those that do the private consults, amazing conversations, always. And if you're interested in any of that, links are in the description below. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.